Hi, Suzy. I love your podcast, and I have a question that I was hoping you may have some insight on.
Okay.
I will be starting law school this fall and wanted to know how you would approach building friendships with classmates and forming study groups while competing for grades on a curve. Do you have any advice for this? Thank you.
Oh, I had this experience. I went to Harvard Business School. At Harvard Business School in those days, every semester, 10% of the class was flunked out, okay? It was called hitting the screen. Everybody's grades popped in the bottom 10%. If you hit the screen in the bottom 10%, you were gone. You'd come back every semester and 10% of your class would be gone. They'd been flunked out, okay? So you got there and people used to sit in class and they'd look around, okay, every class was 90 students, and you'd look around and you'd try to count off 10 people who were stupider than you. So because then that meant that you'd make it and they wouldn't, okay? And you were looking for somebody to screw up so badly, you were not me, okay? Because I thought I was in the bottom 10%. And I was like, oh, who's going to go with me? So literally, there was an activity where people would like go out for drinks after class, and they would say, okay, who's going to hit the screen? Who's going to protect us? And I was never included in these conversations because at the beginning, everybody thought I'd hit the screen because I had been a crime reporter in Miami. Now, as history would show us, I graduated first in my class and I did not hit the screen, but it was my terror and complete fear of hitting the screen that's part of that because nobody worked harder, nobody studied harder, nobody dug in deeper, nobody went and sucked up to professors more than I did, man, because I was so terrified of hitting the screen. Maybe I overshot a little bit, okay, but I'm happy I did. I learned a lot. I would say that you're going into this wonderful person who wrote, you're going into a situation where classes are graded on a curve and not everybody's going to get A's. And if somebody gets an A, it may mean that you get the B. And so the question is, how do I make friends in this environment, in a ruthlessly competitive environment? And my answer is that the dirty little secret about getting ahead is you get ahead, you truly do. You get ahead in work and in school and in life, the more you help other people get ahead. I know it is so counterintuitive. It's like, okay, I got to hold them back. It's like, okay, there's a race. If I help somebody else run faster than me, how am I going to win? Well, that's one analogy, but it doesn't fit real life. Real life is about bringing everyone along with you. And actually, if you help other people, you'll learn a lot doing it. You'll become very popular. It's not lost on anybody if you're helping other people and have an open heart and an open mind. This professor seat and your colleague seat, and frankly, it's just the right thing to do. And then other people will help you. And I will say at HBS, the Baker Scholars, this was the top 3% of the class or whatever that I was in. And I think about the composition of that class, of that group of students. Everybody was a good person, actually helping other people. And it's this crazy counterintuitive thing is that you do not have to beat other people down to get ahead. So my advice to you is make friends with everybody, help everybody. If people don't understand something that you understand, tell them. And it will all sort itself out. You will not suffer or be punished in the long run by helping other people. And it will make you better and at what you're doing, and it will help you understand your own thinking. So don't worry about that curve. That's what I'm saying. Don't worry about that competition. Help everybody, share with everybody, and you will be lifted along with that. And sometimes it takes us our whole life to learn that. For me at HBS, we were all in study groups. That's how we helped each other. And I was in a study group with a group of people who didn't get into any study groups. I was in with, it was 4 African-American guys and a French guy who had a very, very thick accent. None of us got into study groups. And so the school then forcibly put us into study groups with the other people who didn't get into study groups, okay? It was literally like Lord of the Flies, was everybody went and found the other smart people, all the investment bankers got together, all the consultants got together, and then the people who had unconventional backgrounds or were just unconventional because of the way they looked and sounded were left on the threshing room floor. And so we were put in. So I was put into a study group with 4 other people, 4 other people, and we were all just considered losers. We didn't get into study groups, and we all graduated at the top of the class. We helped each other so much. We never thought, I just want them to be a little bit worse than me so that I am above them. We just thought, let's just be like soldiers and carry each other on each other's backs, and that's how it worked. And nobody was happier when we all succeeded than we were for each other. And I'll tell you an interesting thing. In that study group, I mean, it was like a vendetta. I mean, we were like ferocious. We were like, they thought we couldn't do this. We've got to prove that we can do it. In those days at Harvard Business School, they would never do this in a million years. Now, they published your salary upon graduation, literally. I mean, can you believe it? Like there was a list of where you were going and what your starting salary was. I mean, it's rich, isn't it? That's what they did. That's how you won. And in that study group, there was a guy in my study group who got the top salary. So I was Baker Scholar. He got the top salary. That's how people kept score, and we won. You know how we won? By helping each other. So not by holding anybody down, but by helping each other. So that's what I recommend to you. Go in. It's going to feel counterintuitive, and but as soon as you start leaning into it, it's going to feel great, and it's going to prove itself very quickly as a wonderful thing to do, and just as a technique for really succeeding.